Are they going to lose players? Probably. Maybe they don't lose as many players as we think because they were 1-11 last year, which kind of means your players may not be as good as other people's players. I don't know.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today, great week of guest co-hosting, our favorite administrator, and we're going to need him today, Robert Abney. And Robert, how are you on this Throwdown Thursday edition? And we got administrative stuff to talk about.
Always living the dream, man. Every day.
All right. And again, much obliged, much appreciated, because we're going to need your view. In segment one, we're going to talk about Northwestern and the fallout that Robert predicted dead on. We're also going to talk about Tennessee and their punishments. And did the NCAA get it right with Tennessee? Segment two, we're going straight to the Big 12. A lot of stuff going on in this transition year for them. And in segment three, ACC on the CW and the SEC keeping its commissioner, as well as a preview of the top 10 in college football. But first, Robert, Northwestern. So Northwestern football, we're talking about defensive coordinator David Braun has been tabbed as the school's interim head coach for the 2023 season. Braun will serve as interim coach in the aftermath of the firing of Pat Fitzgerald amid allegations of hazing in the Northwestern program. Northwestern hired Braun to be the school's defensive coordinator in January, which means he arrived after the hazing investigation was already initiated. Braun came from North Dakota State, where he won FCS Coordinator of the Year in 2021. And during his 4 seasons at North Dakota State, he served as the coordinator and defensive play caller on 2 national championship teams. So next steps, and then I want to get your thoughts, Robert. His first task will be preserving the roster, because we are in an age where the rosters turn over. The Northwestern players have a window of nearly 4 more weeks in which they can transfer without penalty. And yeah, everyone's looking at Northwestern football tape right now, I'm sure. In a team meeting last week, the Northwestern players expressed to President Michael Schill and Athletic Director Derek Gregg that they wanted to have clarity in the program's future and continuity in coaching staff. This will mark Braun's first season in FBS football, and welcome to the Big Ten, as he has worked in North Dakota State, Northern Iowa, UC Davis, Winona State, and Culver Stockton. Robert, you've seen this, you've read this, and now you got how they're going to move forward with the season. Any thoughts, sir?
Well, I mean, they did the interim coach. That's probably the best they were going to be able to do, given the situation. The fact that they actually got to have somebody stay who knows their kids, I think that helps. I don't know if he probably did not have a hand in recruiting any of them, but at least they know who he is. I didn't see any details on the staff, so I don't know.
The staff is staying. The staff is staying. That was the word. That was the information that I saw late last week, that the staff is staying.
That's interesting. I don't know how you arrive at that given what happened, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, the Braun is he's at least had some success. You know, North Dakota State, that's a really, really good program, and they expect to win there, and they win a lot. And, you know, they regularly play, you know, FBS teams and regularly beat FBS teams. So, I mean, you know, in terms of the coaching, they're fine. Are they going to lose players? Probably. Maybe they don't lose as many players as we think because they were 1-11 last year, which kind of means your players may not be as good as other people's players. I don't know. I mean, they do play in the Big Ten, so that's tough. I don't know. I don't know. I told you via text message, I would be shocked if the president survives this.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And very, very possibly the athletic director, although I haven't heard anything from him, anything regarding him in this whole thing. But I'd be surprised if the president survives this, because he handled it poorly. You
Handled it very
you give a
poorly.
guy a 2-week suspension and then you turn around and fire him. That's not good. It's going to be a rough year for Northwestern football. I hope they win a couple games. I hope they have a little bit of success, but it's going to be a rough year.
All right. So with that, we're going to go to Tennessee. Tennessee avoided a bowl ban after the NCAA Committee on Infraction found the program responsible for more than 200 individual violations, including 18 level 1 violations. Longtime fans of the show know that we have covered the NCAA Committee on Infractions, and we talk about level 1 penalties, level 2 penalties, and level 3 penalties. And level 1 are the most severe. Former coach Jeremy Pruitt was hit with a 6-year show cause order, while the university will face probation, vacated wins, and scholarship reductions. In lieu of a bowl ban, which is critical in this time of college football, the football program will be placed on probation for 5 years, pay an $8 million fine, and will be the subject to an independent compliance review of the program each year. Additionally, there will be legislative fine of $5,000, 3% of the football budget, and an additional fine to recoup money earned while the program was ineligible during the 2020 Gator Bowl. The fines given out were noticeably larger than those historically given out by the NCAA. However, the NCAA addressed the heightened fines as offsetting move to avoid giving out bowl bans that will affect the players and staff on campus that had no involvement in it. Robert, before you chime in, I do want to give you the response from the panel, and I quote, "The panel encountered a challenging set of circumstances related to prescribing penalties in this case. The panel urges the Infractions Process Committee and the membership to clearly define its philosophy regarding penalties, which extend beyond the postseason bans, and memorialize that philosophy in an updated set of penalty guidelines." Robert, take your thoughts on Tennessee in any direction you.
Well, first of all, they cheated.
Yes.
They cheated. I'm not real big. I understand that people do not like imposing penalties for schools when the coaching staff has already moved on and a lot of those players have already moved on. I understand. However, when you have a culture at a school that has allowed that type of thing to happen, I believe that the message needs to be sent: when you allow this kind of thing to happen at your school, this is what that you will not be able to take advantage of the NCAA providing you this opportunity to further showcase your program by playing in a bowl game. Is that fair to the kids? Maybe, maybe not. But I don't believe that this punishment, in terms of the money and the probation, I don't think that changes anything for Tennessee. Not allowing some on-campus visits, limiting recruiting, taking away some scholarships, I think that has more of an effect than the money.
Well, fans, let me tell you what happened. 2 players who later enrolled at Tennessee received direct payments either from Pruitt or his wife. One player's family received $7,600 to pay for down payments on a car and a rental property, along with $500 a month for a car payment on at least 25 occasions. Another player's mother told Pruitt that she could not pay for a needed medical procedure due to existing medical debt. Pruitt gave her $3,000 to use on medical bills and $300 additionally to help pay for gas. The two players participated in 25 and 23 games, respectively, while ineligible, including during the aforementioned Gator Bowl. All games from that time period will ultimately be vacated. Additionally, Tennessee engaged in a scheme to skirt unofficial visit rules over 2 seasons during the recruitment of 29 players. The former recruiting director worked with a primary recruiter to book hotels and pay for meals with cash. Additionally, the staff arranged for 6 athletes to visit campus during the COVID-19 dead period. Didn't they get Herm for that too? Additional penalties that Robert has mentioned include Tennessee will lose 28 scholarships over 5 years, with at least 2 lost each season. The program reduced scholarships by 16 over the first 2 seasons during self-imposed sanctions, meaning current coach Josh Heupel and his staff must only sit 12 total scholarship players short over the next 3 seasons. Pruitt's 6-year show cause is the most significant because it's not the only punishment. The director of recruiting and assistant director of recruiting at the time were hit with 5 and 10-year show cause penalties, respectively. A former assistant also has a 2-year show cause, and that means you have to show cause of why you're hiring this cheater. That's basically what that means. If Pruitt is hired during the 6-year show cause window, he will be suspended for the entire first season at his new job. So, do you think that's enough, or were the penalties light because the NCAA mentioned that Tennessee was, quote, exemplary cooperation? That's what they showed. So, what do you think?
Yeah, we cheated. We'll take this one, and next time we'll do a better job of not getting caught. That's my feeling. And I could be wrong. That they're sorry they got caught. They're not sorry they did it.
Yeah. So with that, fans, we talked a little about Northwestern, talked a little bit about Tennessee. Now we're going to take a conference view. We're going to talk about the Big 12 conference when we get back in segment 2 on the iCoaches podcast.
Why should student athletes use the CKA SAVE Project academic and athletic consulting services? Over the past 15 to 20 years, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, business organizations, and others have increased their use of consulting services to improve their decision-making processes and results. Over the same time, the athletic and academic landscape has changed for high school and college student athletes as the NCAA has raised initial academic eligibility requirements for student athletes while decreasing the number of transfer restrictions. Former college student athletes have noted that they were academic and athletically unprepared for the rigors of college. Let the CKA SAVE Project's close to 30 years of academic and athletic experience help guide student athletes to increase success as we work to help student athletes achieve the goal of obtaining a college degree. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. In segment 2, we want to talk about the Big 12 conference as they're going to have a temporary expanded 14-team conference this year. They just had their media day. And I wanted to talk about what the Big 12 commission said about NIL compliance. Brett Yorman, who is the Big 12 commissioner, has a clear guidance for his 7 schools that compete in states with new NIL laws. Adhere to the NCAA policy and not the state policy. The national collision of state and NCAA laws is not ideal, he said, and he is advising those schools to follow NCAA law and not state law. Robert, putting your admin hat, what are your thoughts on that advice?
I think that's good advice. Because I think what they're hoping is that eventually there will be federal legislation regarding NIL requiring schools to follow NCAA rules regarding the NIL. I think they're very conscious of the potential uneven playing field that NIL creates. I mean, Texas has a boatload of NIL money. So does Oklahoma. Iowa State, not so much.
Not so much.
And so, I mean, it creates an uneven playing field. I do think that if the NCAA were to say, if everybody just goes ahead and does their own thing, and the NCAA says, okay, well, we're not inviting you, Texas, to the national championship playoff because you didn't follow the rules, I think there would be a lawsuit quicker than that. So the sentiment is good. I just don't know if it's enforceable.
All right. So here's some of the Big 12 thoughts on Oklahoma and Texas. They are departing to the SEC. Big 12 Deputy Commissioner Tim Weiser had some parting shots for Texas ahead of its move to the SEC. During an interview at Big 12 Media Day, the former Kansas State athletic director was asked about the Longhorns' motivation for leaving the conference, and he said, and I quote, "I continue to maintain the choice Texas made wasn't a financial one because we all know what the Texas resources are like. I think their decision was more about affiliating with a group of schools that on a given Saturday, they would rather get beat by Alabama than Kansas State or Florida than Iowa State. That was really the driving way they looked out down the road." Robert, agree or disagree with the little shot across the bow that the deputy commissioner said about Oklahoma and Texas?
Oh, I totally agree with that. That it wasn't that the University of Texas has more money than you can possibly imagine because they've had the Longhorn Network that is their network. Everything is on the Longhorn Network. You can watch on ESPN Plus all the Texas Longhorn stuff. They have more money than you would believe. And it's my personal opinion, and this is based on nothing other than what I think, that there was probably some pressure from people of influence in the state of Texas to get Texas and Texas A&M back in the same conference again, because that game, Texas, I mean, UT and A&M have not been playing over the past few years unless they meet they've played in baseball and softball because I think they've met up like in regional tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
But those games matter a lot. And I think that there was some pressure to find a way to bring those back.
All right. Well, we're going to close out with Texas will be a target. Texas was selected as the top team in the preseason Big 12 poll. In fact, the Longhorns are the overwhelming favorite, listed at even money for those into those things to win the Big 12. They did not have the best of seasons last year. It is well documented that I betted against them last year. That was last year. This is this year. How do you think they're going to take Texas this year in the Big 12? Will there be some sneaky calls going the wrong way? What do you got going? What do you think as we close out segment 2, Robert?
No, I don't think anything. I don't think anything fishy is going to happen. I don't think they're going to win. I mean,
is the Manning kid playing this year?
I don't know. They have the most talent. Let's say that. I don't think there's any question about that. They have the most talent. They keep running off coaches before the coaches can establish a culture that has a little bit of toughness to it when things go bad. And for a long time, when things get rough for them, they tuck tail. And they should win the conference, but I don't know.
All right. So fans, in segment 3, we'll talk about the ACC on the CW. We'll talk about the SEC, and we'll give you the national preseason top 10 rankings. See if we agree or disagree. Be right back on the iCoaches podcast.
The CKA SAVE Project is an industry leader in advocating for student-athlete, academic, and athletic needs. Through academic and athletic enrichment, the CKA SAVE Project is on the forefront of the issues facing 21st century student-athletes. As student-athletes continue to struggle to find a better balance between academic and athletic success, the CKA SAVE Project offers academic and athletic services to support student-athlete academic success, including academic skills assessment, academic and athletic consulting, academic monitoring, academic and athletic workshops. For more information or to schedule a free consultation, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Well, welcome back to the iCoaches podcast. And in segment 3, the ACC is on the CW. And I've seen a lot of 90s stuff like recently, Robert. And I remember the CW and the Paramount Network and all the bootleg shows on the CW. So I'm laughing. So fans, I'm sorry. This fall, the ACC will begin airing football and basketball events on the CW network, a new addition to the league's Saturday broadcast schedule. The CW has secured the rights to 50 ACC games beginning September 9th with Pitt's football game against Cincinnati. Okay. 13 ACC football games will air on Saturdays on the CW, which will broadcast 28 ACC men's and women's basketball games throughout December, January, and February. The ACC will have men's basketball doubleheaders on the CW every Saturday and women's basketball doubleheaders every Sunday afternoon, which is good for me. I always like to have something on. Raycom Sports, which sublicenses ACC events from ESPN, sold its rights to the CW. Hey, franchise, we're making a Jefferson Pilot joke, but we'll continue producing them. So Raycom Sports will continue to produce it, but now it's going to be seen through the CW network. The CW has not aired college sports events, but is the exclusive home to the Live Golf Tour. How are those ratings? The network is best known for broadcast series such as All-American. And fans, please remember that the ACC in July 2016 agreed to a 20-year ironclad media rights agreement with ESPN that runs through the 2035-36 academic year. Some league members have expressed frustration with the long-term agreement as the ACC significantly trails the SEC and Big Ten in revenue. So we're trying to find new revenue streams. Robert, what do you think about ACC on the CW?
Well, I think those 12,000 people who watch Wake Forest and BC the last Saturday in September are going to be really excited. Other than that, I'm not sure who's going to watch. I mean, I am not even sure that if I wanted to watch something on the CW that I could, because I only have streaming services.
Yo, that is right. You cut the cord a minute ago.
We cut the cord a long time ago. I'm not sure we have a CW network that I can watch. Maybe
Interesting.
I don't know.
Put that on your list and see if we can get you on the ACC preview show.
There you go.
Check that out. All right. So fans in the SEC, the rich keep getting richer. And I wish I was this guy's agent. The SEC announced last week that it has reached an agreement with Commissioner Greg Sankey that will keep Sankey in his post through at least 2028. Sankey is 58 and has been the commissioner of the conference since 2015 when he replaced Mike. I think that was Slive, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. His new contract was already approved. This guy's been in the SEC for quite some time, and he has earned whatever extension you want to provide him. He has navigated the conference through significant changes in college football, has been instrumental in the development of the new 12-team college football playoff structure that will begin after this season, and that's going to be fun. Additionally, he negotiated the addition of Texas and Oklahoma to the conference and is a leader in the rapidly evolving name, image, and likeness landscape. He was also commissioner of the Southland Conference from 1996 to 2001. And that guy is getting it in, man. He's doing a job. Any thoughts on locking him up?
I mean, I think that's a wise choice for them. I listened to him on a podcast a while back. I can't remember which one, but he's a really interesting and thoughtful guy. And you know, you want to keep people. He's been really level-headed for the SEC in the midst of all of this other stuff that's gone on, and I think that's important for them. And the other thing is he's made them a lot of money, and
Has made them a lot of money.
He's going to make them a lot more money when Texas and Oklahoma join in.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's how I feel about Roger Goodell. Say whatever you want. His job is to take bullets for the NFL, and that $40 million he gets, yeah, because that's his job, to take every bit of the heat all the time.
100%.
And if you'd like to provide us that type of money, I'm happy to take whatever heat comes with that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the preseason top 10, and we're going to go top down, man. We don't want to go bottom up. We're going to go top down. See if you agree. Robert, Georgia's number 1. Agree?
Okay, sure.
Michigan and Ohio State are 2 and 3 respectively, and I can hear franchise yelling in my ear, "What have they ever done?" Okay.
I mean, here's the top 4. Those have been the playoff teams. You know,
and 4 is Alabama fans, just so you know.
I mean, it's going to be Georgia, Michigan State,
Michigan, not Michigan State.
I'm sorry, Michigan, Ohio State. I mean, you know, because they're both going to be undefeated going into the big game. The winner will be number 2. The loser will be number 4. And then either Alabama's going to be number 3, or somebody's going to come out of just like this past year, TCU coming out of nowhere, right?
Oh, God. All right. So speaking of coming out of nowhere, fans, LSU's number 5. Florida State is number 6. Okay. Washington's number 7. Penn State's number 8. And you know how I feel about Penn State. Love James Franklin. But the best he can do every year is be 3, because he can't beat these teams ahead of him, but he's beaten everybody else. Texas is number 9, and USC in the Pac-12 is number 10. And that's a good spot for them right now, because they're just to quote TD, my old boss, Tom Dickman, they're just going to hang around. Mm-hmm. And as long as they can navigate the Utahs, that's a hiccup game for them, like every year. And Washington is going to be a hiccup game, because Washington has a shot to just hang around. And as long as they're winning and they win their championship and they get 1 loss, it's going to be hard to argue based on the current format. Not, as Nick Saban say, the 3 best teams or the 4 best teams, the teams that fit and what have you.
Yep.
So,
well, and
go ahead, Robert.
It matters for USC where they play Washington and where they play Utah. That matters. You know, and I haven't looked at their schedule, so I don't know. But where they play those 2 teams, that matters.
Well, let's give you that. Let's give you that, because USC is one of those hang-around teams that, again, I think with Caleb and the Heisman talk, and so they play that thing off there. They play Utah at home. They've got a really good schedule. They got a good one. They play Utah at home, and they play Notre Dame. That's a good game for them. They play at Notre Dame, so that's going to be a good one. And they play Washington is homecoming. Washington's homecoming? Okay. And they play at Oregon. So should work out, man.
Oregon used to be a tough place to go, but they're just not very good right now. So that works out well for them. I mean, Washington and Utah at home.
Yeah. Go USC. USC, we're going to keep an eye on them because I'm looking at they don't have any other hiccups. They got San Jose State, Nevada, Stanford, Arizona State, Colorado. They're going to beat them. Arizona. So going into Notre Dame, they'll probably be 6-0. They'll beat Notre Dame and Notre Dame be 7-0, and then they play Utah at home. And then they play Cal, then they play Washington, then they play Oregon. And again, I don't know about Oregon. And of course, they've got UCLA at the end of the season. So, okay. All right. So go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, Texas playing Alabama early. I don't think that's going to go very well. I don't know. And they're at it. According to this, they're at Alabama. I can't remember if that's a neutral site game or not. It says they're at Alabama. They get Texas Tech at home, and Texas Tech is generally not great, but they just have a hard time when they go to Lubbock. So having Texas Tech at home is good for them. Anyway,
Texas should be able to run. It is at Alabama. Darn. So that's a loss.
Aside from that,
but
they should be able to run the table. But all
right, I'm going to have some fun at that Big 12 taping. And speaking of the Big 12 taping, fans, the NCAA football season previews are coming August 7th through 12th. You're going to have daily Odd Coaches podcast as we get you ready for the season. So look forward to that. We're going to run college first and then the NFL second while we take all take much needed vacations, but strictly for entertainment purposes only. I hope you guys get some fun out of that. Robert, anything to add before we close? Great week of episodes, and thank you, sir.
And just getting ready for stuff to get ramped back up again, man. It's going to be here before we know it.
Yes, indeed. So on behalf of my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, and our favorite administrator, Robert Abney, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, and we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach FRANCHIZE. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.